Good morning, everybody. My name is Justin Wilson, and it is my pleasure to welcome you here to the First Universalist Church of Rochester. As the Congregational Life Coordinator, I just want to say if this is your first time here, we especially welcome you. You belong because you are here. We invite everybody to remain after for coffee hour in the Clara Barton Lounge behind us or online in the same Zoom link. There is a visitor form in the order of service, and online there is a link to click to fill out the visitors form. We invite you to do that so we can get to know you better and offer a greeting beyond what we can do here today. Just a reminder, next week is a joint service with First Unitarian on Winton Road. So it will start at 10:30, same time as here, but it will be on Winton Road. Nobody will be here, so please don't show up here. But we do hope to see you there. If you're looking to be part of our welcoming ministry or to become more involved in the church, we have a number of opportunities for you. Of course, we're always looking for people to support coffee hour and work with a partner there. You can contact MJ Curry to partner in that service. We are also launching an LGBTQ social justice group, so if you're interested in that, see me. And if you're looking to get your hands a little dirty, we've got a couple projects around here, a little fixing up to do, and we also have a playground project that we're getting involved with in the community, so see me if you're interested in any of those things. Before we take a moment to turn towards our neighbor, let's say hi to our online community by waving towards the camera back there by the Progress Pride flag. If you're online, feel free to pop in a greeting in the chat to your fellow online worshipers. And if you're here in person at First Universalist, now let's take a moment to welcome each other.
And as we wrap up our greeting, I invite you to join us in singing the opening hymn number 6, Just As Long As I Have Breath. I'm Bill Schubmau, happy to be your worship associate today. However, it's a bittersweet day
since this will be our last Sunday of the summer with Peter House. Yeah, I know. I feel the same way. His sermons have always involved a very interesting story with a provocative message in the most positive way they can be. And one of the things when I was thinking about this being Peter's last Sunday of the summer was last summer, I had recently become a worship associate. It was my second service, so the anxiety was still up about 9. And at the end of the service, I said it was a pleasure doing the service with you, and I was kind of nervous because it was only my second time. And Peter said, "That was only your second time?" So he had me. Not that, he already had me, but even more so. Anyway, just if you can, say goodbye to him at the end of the service and tell him he's got to come back next summer. We often talk about love. It's the first word in our affirmation of faith, and it's mentioned when the chalice is extinguished at the end. What about the love in our personal lives and the barriers that interfere with those emotional connections? Just looking at marriages, the chance of staying married and being very happy with your marriage, with your relationship, after 20 years is about 30%. So, not great odds. One thing that contributes to problems in relationships is a lack of knowledge. I thought I knew what it meant to be emotionally involved with someone, but when I was in my late 30s, I discovered that I was basically clueless. My wife can attest to that. Another contributing force is unintentional self-defeat, which we all have, but some more than others. Basically, the more emotional pain and anger that we carry from our past, the more likely we are to be unintentionally self-defeating. One additional force that contributes, that sabotages relationships, is a conflict with emotional closeness. We all long for connections, and yet we're terrified of them. Everyone has this to some extent, but it goes across a spectrum depending on your history with significant relationships, especially those from childhood. Every time we suffer a broken bond, it leaves a wound. So we build walls to protect ourselves. Just like with unintentional self-defeat, we may not even realize that we have these walls. The unfortunate result is a series of relationships not working out, and for some, ultimately, a lonely existence. I know from personal experience that working on these issues is very challenging, and I can't emphasize that enough, and ongoing. However, with a willingness to learn about these obstacles and the resolve to change, there is certainly hope. Come, let us worship together. As Dylan Shash comes forward to light our chalice at First Universalist, and you light a chalice in your own homes, please join me in our chalice lighting words spoken in unison. May we be a people here in heart and mind and body, and may we reach out to Please rise in body or in spirit for our affirmation of faith, followed by the doxology. Love is the doctrine of this church. Quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve humanity in fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow in harmony with the source and meaning of life, thus to be covenant with each other and with all. In order to connect my call to worship message to today's offering, I have a question. How many of you have belonged to First Universalist Church for at least 20 years? There's a fair number. Okay, thank you. And I know there are some online because I know some of them. Thanks. I'm going to assume that close to 100% of you are very happy with your relationship with our church, or else you wouldn't be here, especially on a steamy hot day like this, or you wouldn't be on Zoom. That's much better odds than a happy marriage. So, in order for everyone else to make sure that everyone else has the opportunity for a 20-plus year relationship with this spiritual home, our church depends on the generosity of our members. Please place your offering in the offering basket or give online by scanning the QR code on the back of your order of service. This is also a great time to place visitors' forms in the offering basket. For folks online, please click the link in the chat to give to First Universalist Church. Thank you for your generosity. This morning's offering will now be gratefully received. It's time for our monthly food in gathering. For those not familiar, this is when anyone who has brought food or wishes to make a financial donation comes forward and places your donation in the cardboard box. It's there, whatever kind of box it is, in front of me. All donations will be delivered to a local food cupboard for people experiencing food insecurity. If you need assistance, please raise your hand and one of the ushers will assist you. Thank you so much.
Each Sunday morning, we take time with each other for the sharing of joys and concerns. When we share with one another our personal highs and lows, we enlarge our circle of love and strengthen our caring for one another. I invite you now into this sacred time where we share what's in our hearts and on our minds. If you would like to, you can place your hand over your heart to be able to listen from this heart-centered place. We know that so very much is going on in our world today, and if you have joys and sorrows to share on behalf of our national or global community, you are truly encouraged to do so today and in the future. As Bill places stones into a bowl, I will read aloud the joys and sorrows of our gathered community. All online are also invited to share your joys and sorrows in the chat. Lois Baum shares a sorrow. Lois's decades-long friend Lee London has moved on to his next life. We met in the early 1980s at the Aqua Genesis Holistic Center, and through the years we frequently sit zazen together. Lee's warm and gentle soul will be honored at a memorial service this Tuesday, August 12th at 3 p.m. at the Zen Center via Zoom, rzc.org. Rest in peace, dear Lee. And Lois also shares a joy. On Sunday, August 24th at Parcel 5 next door to our church, Adam Durand of the Animal Ministry will be the keynote speaker at Veg Fest. All vegan. All are welcome. From Susan Reedy, a joy to hear Peter share with us again. Thank you. Phil Ebersole, it is always a joy to listen to Peter House's sermons each up. Someone else should really be saying it. A joy to listen to sermons this summer. Thank you so much. From John Luke, so grateful to all the people who work diligently to help find good homes for abandoned animals, but so sad to see so many needing homes. Neuter your animals, please. From Jay Joslin, it is a joy to be with you all while camping. Don't worry, this is all the internet for me. Today we share in a community ritual to honor the many joys and sorrows we bring into this space, whether read aloud or kept in the silent sanctuaries of our hearts. In a moment, those who are here in person are invited to come forward to drop stones into the bowl. If you need to remain seated, please raise your hand and someone can come to you with a bowl to drop stones in. If you are joining us online, please send a heart emoji into the meeting chat. And let us join in this collective ritual now, honoring the joys and sorrows of us all. Now the circle of our care is drawn larger. May it increase forevermore. I invite you now to join with me in a spirit of prayer and meditation. When all of the people of the world love, then the strong will not overpower the weak. The many will not oppress the few. The wealthy will not mock the poor. The honored will not disdain the humble. The cunning will not deceive the simple. Amen. Blessed be. May it be so. And now I invite you to join in our hymn of contemplation, Spirit of Life.
Oh
I meant and forgot to add my own joy in Joys and Concerns this morning. It's a joy not only to see Peggy Meeker here, but to hear her play. I had no idea you had that talent. It's beautiful. Thank you. So, in my last time here in the pulpit this summer, I'm actually a little embarrassed because for the third time this summer, I am going to use a 1970s sitcom to help make my point. Last week I referenced All in the Family and Archie Bunker, and earlier this summer I referenced the Mary Tyler Moore Show. And I'm actually back at the Mary Tyler Moore Show again, because this morning we're going to talk about Rhoda. I think everyone who watched that show in the 1970s loved and partially at least identified with Rhoda. Rhoda was creative and she was passionate and artistic, and she had a great sense of humor. She could be brash and abrasive, yes, but we all saw that she used that to cover her own vulnerability. She was actually very soft-hearted and insecure, especially when it came to her looks and her belief that she was completely unappealing to the opposite sex. Like many of us, I really enjoyed her self-deprecating wisecracks. They kind of provided her with a certain kind of a protective armor. I'm going to put myself down before anyone else has a chance, was the philosophy behind them. She even said that in one episode. A few of my favorites. One time she quipped as she put a piece of chocolate in her mouth, "I don't know why I'm putting this in my mouth. I should just be applying it directly to my hips." Another time she said to Mary, "There was a time in my life when I went to bed every night and said, well, there goes another day not married. Now I just wait till New Year's Eve and I say, there goes another year not married." Perhaps, though, the best example of how she preempted people's attempts to put her down came one time when she was sparring with the obnoxious neighbor Phyllis. One night, Phyllis and Rhoda were together without Mary for a change, and Phyllis remarked, "When a girl's barely 30, attractive, and has a nice personality, it's difficult to understand why she isn't married." Rhoda immediately said, "You're talking about Mary." And Phyllis replied, "Of course." And then Rhoda went on, "Because you can understand why I'm not married." To which Rhoda replied again condescendingly, "Of course." Never one to let anyone ever get the best of her, Rhoda replied, "Do me a favor, Phyllis, write it down and send it to my mother. She doesn't understand." What I find truly fascinating about the development of the character of Rhoda is the psychology that went behind the eventual casting of Valerie Harper in the role. Rhoda Morgenstern, as she was originally conceived, was supposed to be overweight and unattractive. She was supposed to be the plain-looking, schlubby sidekick to the beautiful, talented, and highly desirable Mary Richards, who, by the way, as we were reminded every week, could turn the entire world on with a mere smile. Rhoda was the very last character in that ensemble that was cast. They auditioned dozens and dozens of women, but none of them seemed right for the role. They were getting kind of desperate, and at the last minute, someone recommended Valerie Harper. She came in and she read for the part, and she transformed into Rhoda Morgenstern right in front of everyone's eyes. She captured that character exactly as the writers and producers had envisioned her. There was only one problem, and it seemed like a big problem at first. Rhoda was supposed to be overweight and plain-looking, and Valerie Harper was thin and beautiful. Now, at first, the producers thought this was an insurmountable problem. As perfect as she is, we can't cast her because of the way she looks. How could they possibly cast someone who was every bit as beautiful as Mary Tyler Moore as her schlubby best friend? At some point, though, one of the producers had an insight, which in my opinion was absolutely brilliant. He said, what difference does it make if Rhoda is actually beautiful? The point is, she doesn't believe she is beautiful. She has internalized a lot of negative messages about herself, and she believes that she is overweight and schlubby and unattractive. So when she looks in a mirror, she doesn't see someone that is beautiful. She sees someone that's unattractive. And she is constantly telling herself that that is how she really is. And it was that insight that not only gave Valerie Harper the breakout role of her career, but it also was the insight that created the character that so many people identified with. Because the producer was absolutely right. It doesn't matter how we may appear objectively to other people on the outside. What matters is how we see ourselves and the messages that we give ourselves. And so many of us could relate to Rhoda because she said out loud the things that many of us told ourselves. I'm dumb. I'm boring. I'm unattractive. People find me tedious. No one will ever fall in love with me. I will never measure up. I will never be good enough. Happiness is meant for other people. People more worthy than I am. My lot in life will always be to be a supporting player to the main cast. Now, I will confess, I came to identify very strongly with Rhoda. Not so much during the show's original run because I was very young, but when I watched the reruns in my teenage years, I really resonated with her. I harbored all of the same insecurities that Rhoda did, and I engaged in the same exact kind of self-talk that she did. You're not smart enough. You're not attractive enough. No one will ever fall in love with you. You'll never, ever get what you really want. You will always have to settle for what happens to come your way and be grateful for it. Don't expect too much. Don't hope for too much. And definitely, definitely don't ever strive for too much. You're not a star. You're a bit player. That's your lot in life. Don't fight it. The sooner you embrace it and accept your place, the better you will feel. And this was my self-talk for many decades. Decades and decades. It affected every choice that I made. What schools I applied to, what jobs I applied for, what role I would play in my friendship networks, and who I would date. It affected the apartments that I rented, the first house that I bought, and the role that I played within my family. I told myself constantly that I was unimportant and unworthy, certainly not as important as the other people around me were. Now, a part of me always knew better, and I think a part of all of us somewhere inside knows better, but there was an equal part of myself that believed it as well. The part of me that knew better understood that this sort of self-talk was actually self-protective. In the same way that Rhoda put herself down before anyone else could, I understood on some intuitive level that by expecting very little and being grateful for whatever I had, I would shield myself from a lot of rejection and a lot of disappointment. But then again, there was truly that equal part of myself that believed it. I really believed that I was unworthy. I really believed that I was unattractive, unintelligent, and I really believed that I was incredibly lucky to have any good fortune at all that happened to come my way. Now, the most obvious manifestation of this, and I only see it completely now looking back on it, was that I began to believe that my face was unattractive and that my body had an ugly shape and that everything needed to be as hidden as possible. So I grew my hair really long and I grew a beard to cover my face. And I was constantly saying to friends, I used to say this all the time, I'm the kind of person that the more of me that it's covered up, the better I look. And as for my body, for years and years, in spite of the fact that the appropriate shirt size for me was large and even in some cases a medium, I always bought extra large because it hid me better. And then one day when I was in my late 30s, I was in JCPenney's and I discovered that they made 2XL. And so I started to buy that size instead. They were absolutely huge on me, and that exactly was what their appeal was. There was so much extra fabric I couldn't tuck it all into my pants. And when I see pictures of myself now from that era, I see just how ill-fitting those shirts were. But at the time, I truly believed that they made me look good because they hid the actual shape and contours of my body. Now, my move up from extra large to 2XL coincided with the disintegration of my first long-term relationship. After being together for 16 years, my partner found companionship elsewhere, which this only reinforced my belief that I was unattractive and that my body needed to be hidden from the world. A college friend came to visit me about that time and we decided to go shopping. I wanted to get more shirts for school. And when we got into the store, I headed straight for the 2XL rack. She asked me what I was doing, and I said, I'm looking for shirts. And she said, that's the 2XL rack. And I said, that's my size. This was met with a mixture of laughter and exasperation from my friend. That is not your size, she said firmly, and honestly, they look ridiculous on you. I have been wanting to tell you this for a long time. So then she went over to the large rack and she grabbed a shirt and insisted that I try it on. I very reluctantly took it to the fitting room, and I was sure, I was positive that it was going to look awful on me. I was sure that anything that didn't hide my body shape completely was going to make me look terrible. It took a lot of courage for me to even look in the mirror. I was going to just try it on and come out and say, yeah, no, it didn't fit. I was just sure I was going to look hideous. Like Rhoda, I had spent so much time telling myself that my body was ugly that I believed it. It was how I saw myself. I was certain that others saw me that way as well. But instead, it was a huge epiphany for me. At first, I could not believe that those shirts actually looked better on me than the 2XL did, because I did finally get the courage to look in the mirror, and I was shocked. I said, wow, this actually fits. It doesn't look half bad. But I still couldn't quite believe that it was better for me than the 2XL. So for a while, I was very self-conscious wearing, I did buy a couple of large shirts that day, and for a while I was very, very self-conscious wearing them. I thought they looked ridiculously small on me, and I thought they I thought they exposed too much of my actual shape to people. But I finally adjusted, it took a while, but I finally adjusted to the reality that those shirts actually looked better on me, and I finally began buying only that size. Eventually, I took all of my extra large and 2XL shirts up in the attic and put them in a tote. I didn't get rid of them because I thought I might still need them someday. So after this epiphany, I began for the first time to really question my self-talk. If I was so wrong about how I looked, was it possible that I was also wrong about a lot of other things as well? Was it possible that maybe I was smarter than I thought? Maybe I was more attractive than I thought I was, more talented than I thought I was, and yes, maybe even more worthy than I thought I was. So the second piece of this puzzle happened when our school counselors adopted a program which regularly asks the students to pay attention to their self-talk. You see, if you think about it, we live most of our lives in our own heads. We have a constant and lifelong inner conversation with ourselves. It is so ever present, and it is so hard to separate from our identities that a lot of us probably don't even notice it unless we really make a conscious effort to see that it's there. We simply identify with it. We assume that our thoughts, especially our thoughts when it comes to our thoughts about ourselves, are reality itself. We are the sole arbiters in our heads for what passes for reality. So if we tell ourselves that we are unintelligent, untalented, unattractive, unworthy, we will believe it. And then we will navigate the world that way. We will navigate through the world with these dangerous assumptions about ourselves. And I say they are dangerous because they often have very serious and very negative effects on our lives. We might choose an abusive spouse because we feel that we can't do better. We might stay in a job where we are unappreciated and unfulfilled because we believe that we are unemployable and we're lucky to have a job at all. We might avoid ever really looking in a mirror because we think we are unattractive. We might learn to stifle our own voices because we think that we have nothing to say. And we might deny our needs because we think that they are not valid. We might deny ourselves the same compassion that we freely give to others because we think that we don't deserve it. For many of us, I think compassion is something to be given to others, but not something that has anything at all to do with our relationship to ourselves. But if we are truly compassionate people, then we absolutely must extend that compassion to ourselves. Because we are every bit as worthy as everyone else. And seeing the inherent worth and dignity in every person absolutely must include the ability to see it in ourselves. Examining our self-talk has practical implications for day-to-day life as well. When we're focused on a challenge like having to reboot our computer or fix our cell phone, or repair an emergency plumbing leak, or having to unravel a complicated medical bill, we can easily go straight to a place of panic. And we say to ourselves, I can't do this. I don't understand this. This is too complicated. I'm not smart enough. I'm not good at these things. I'll never be able to figure this out. What am I going to do? What's going to happen to me? Now, I'm sure it's obvious that that kind of self-talk is pretty self-defeating when there's a crisis to solve. And it really does make a difference if instead we say things to ourselves like, I can do this. I just need to be a little bit patient and figure this out. I have resources. I just need to use them. I'm going to feel really good when I solve this all on my own. I can do this. I've seen this firsthand in my classroom. I've seen what happens when kids successfully use the tools that the school counselors have given them to challenge their self-talk. One of the things that this program has is a little jingle about using your self-talk, and the kids will sing it. And I have actually seen kids who are frustrated with a math problem or a complicated craft activity begin to lose it, and then they catch themselves and they sing the jingle. And they change their self-talk. It really works. I've had kids say to me, Mr. House, I changed my self-talk. So I'm going to invite you now. Let's all take a moment together and examine our self-talk. is your self-talk like? Are you ever a Rhoda Morgenstern? Have you fallen into a pattern of negative self-talk? Do you tell yourself ever that you are unimportant, unintelligent, unattractive, or unworthy? Do you have a self-defeating monologue running in your head that says things like, why even speak up? No one cares what I think anyway. I'm not good enough. I always mess things up. No one really cares about me or my feelings. I could never get hired there. That's too complicated, that's too hard. I could never, ever figure that out. I make my spouse angry. It's my fault. I am to blame for the way I am treated. I don't deserve to be happy. This is my favorite one, and this was constant for me. I can adapt to anything. I don't need anything. It's much more important to make everybody else happy. After you take a minute to examine your self-talk, take a moment to consider what price you may have paid and may still be paying for the things that you tell yourself. Are you denying your own needs because you tell yourself on a regular basis that you don't really have them? Are you censoring yourself or staying silent completely because you tell yourself that you have nothing of real value to say? Are you letting people treat you poorly because you think that you are unworthy of love and respect? Are you avoiding things that need to be done because you have told yourself you can't handle them? Are you robbing yourself of joy because you have convinced yourself that you don't deserve it? If you truly believe in the inherent worth and dignity of every person, you absolutely must believe in it for yourself as well. And when we engage in a constant stream of negative self-talk, we are out of integrity with ourselves because we are not truly living our values. If you would never single out another person for exclusion from compassion, exclusion from dignity, exclusion from respect, then you can't single yourself out this way either. A big part of our negative feelings about ourselves come from the negative things that we constantly tell ourselves, often that we aren't even aware of until it's brought to our attention. If we tell ourselves that we're unworthy and we believe it, then we will move through the world with that assumption. In addition to the damage that we will do ourselves, we will not be able to be as loving, as compassionate, or as accepting as we want to be. Our voices will not have the power of conviction that they need to have when we speak up against injustice. Talents which we may have, which would benefit the world, might never express themselves. And we may strain our most intimate relationships because those we love will feel that they can't ever fully challenge us when it's needed for fear that they will reinforce our own negative self-images. We have a duty to ourselves, to our loved ones, and to our world to be our strongest, happiest, and best selves. A start to achieving this is examining our self-talk. Identify what we tell ourselves that does not serve us, and change that script. Now, I can tell you from personal experience, it's not easy. That script has worn many deep grooves through our consciousness over many, many years. It takes constant effort and constant vigilance, but the reward is worth it. The other night, I had dinner with a friend. Now, I've known this man for 30 plus years, and while I can't be in his head, I can tell by the things that he tells other people that he engages in a lot of negative self-talk. After everyone at the table had ordered, he announced, "Well, I've been dumped again." So, of course, we all expressed the requisite amount of sympathy one expresses after hearing such an announcement. And then one of my other friends said, "I didn't even know you were seeing anyone." "Oh, we only saw each other for a couple months," he said, "so I didn't make a big deal of it, and I really didn't like him very much. And we actually haven't seen each other in a few months. But I decided to give it another try, but when I called him, he had moved on." "That doesn't really sound like you were dumped," someone else at the table said. "It sounds like it was mutual." No, he dumped me," my friend insisted, "just like everyone else does. He saw flaws in me just like everyone else does." "Did he actually say that?" I asked. "No," my friend said, "but I've had a lot of practice at being dumped, so I know exactly what to look for." So everyone at the table tried pointing out the obvious to my friend. He didn't like the person, and he hadn't seen him in several months. He wasn't dumped at all. He had briefly dated someone, they weren't a match, and they both went their separate ways. But my friend was having none of it. "I know you're all trying to make me feel better," he said, "but I know me way better than you all know me. And I'm telling you, this guy saw all the same flaws in me that everyone else does, and he dumped me." I can't know this for sure, of course, but I really and truly believe that this is how my friend truly experiences his life. After 60 plus years of negative self-talk, his reality is so shaped by these messages that he's told himself over and over and over again that they have become reality itself, objective fact. And as I just happened to be writing this sermon at that time, I challenged him to examine his self-talk. He didn't seem terribly open to the idea, but I think I'm going to bring it up again at the appropriate moment. And in that spirit, let us join together now in singing our closing hymn, "I Wish I Knew How."
I
Please remain standing as Bill extinguishes our chalice flame this morning. Let us read together the words printed on the screen. We extinguish this flame, but we keep its light in our hearts with its message of love and justice, taking it outside these walls to the world we live in until we are together again. Beauty is before me and beauty is behind me. Above me and below me hovers the beautiful. I am surrounded by it, I am immersed in it. In my youth I am aware of it, and in my old age I shall walk quietly the beautiful trail. In beauty it is begun, and in beauty it is ended. And to this let us say together, Amen. Everyone is invited to join us at the coffee hour immediately after the service in the Clara Barton Lounge or online in the current Zoom meeting. We hope to see you there, and again, reminder that no one will be here next Sunday.